So the Laughing Club meets every morning from 8:40 to 8:50 in the middle of College Green, where but so far it's just me, we laugh for 10 minutes and then we depart. Sometimes you can look at the trees and laugh with the trees, or like just facing the sun and just feeling the sun's heat like amongst like the cold and chaotic like wind with the snowflakes. You can just laugh with that.
Yeah.
Look, he looks like a Teletubby too.
No, he doesn't. He looks fine.
I love that thing that he wears.
Ooh. Is it spiced with curry?
Yeah, it's some version of curry.
He loves it.
He's freaking out.
He's still alive.
They're all in the improv club, you know. But they got this at a thrift store, and they give it to everyone who's like the head of the improv club or something. They all sign it and then pass it on. So, you know, big because I put my bed up every day. And like find them at the thrift stores and stuff.
Just like impressions of whatever was painted before is part of the problem too.
Yes.
Yeah, probably just like sanding it down. Good. Wait, do you still have the mountain lady here?
I painted over it completely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I've been trying to work on, and it does have really weird texture too.
Yeah.
It's also hasn't been fired yet in this photo, but it's like this weird, kind of like too weird.
Is that like it looks like a sea creature, is that what it is?
It's
It's crazy.
I'm trying to like figure out what color.
His screen's cracked.
Yeah, it's like
Tis.
It is kind of difficult.
We're all a little
'cause
cracked, aren't we?
Yeah.
It looks like
certain
what
a
are
lot
those?
of glazes look
Cuttlefish.
significantly
Cuttlefish.
different depending on if you.
Who's ready for story time?
I'm ready for story time.
All right. So this is called The Story of Two Magical Teachers at the Place Where Wild Children Discover. He was a captain, somewhere long ago or far away. The children saw his ship on shooting stars, and yet despite such an extravagant mystery, when you met him, he was calm and even joyous. It was said that Lady Emily built the school with a wand that she located with his maps, but only she could enter the place where this wand was. It was said to have been made by a mermaid, and a sea captain fell in love with her, and the only way to get to it was to get lost at sea. The captain's starship was both of sea and supernova, where at the end of the world a dark star bent the ocean's circumference into curved space-time that made it flat, that gave it an edge where you could fall off into the well of archangels. Lady Emily was said to have been invited at the table to negotiate the wand's transfer, and her gentle, thoughtful hand held it to grant her wish, to build a school protected from the world of harm, a school she called the Unicorn. Its giant shape rode to a secret place that only children knew, and allowed only kind adults to enter. And here Lady Emily made the grounds with the unicorn, who put her stamp and symbol in design, a garden perimeter in its shape, a statue on the roof of the complex that held on manner of weather, and a greenhouse. All of it was magic. The captain, his name was Captain Christie, would have the children first. He would be their introduction to the wider world. He talked with all their parents and made each child feel special, because he was once an orphan and spent his youth on the orphan trains of history, after world wars or depressions, in the Dust Bowl, out with the 49ers after the gold rush. He was once a roadie for a traveling circus and Neil Young's Crazy Horse Band, and he fell in love with an Irish witch while traveling the world as a journalist with U2, where he married her after their show at Slane Castle. The captain bears the arrow that she shot him with, the scar over his heart. And he did not want to teach at first, but it was his wife who had heard Lady Emily, and when the captain and his wife had a daughter who ran with wolves, he agreed. His wife and his daughter hunt while he prepares for their return, and his traveling star, which he uses to bring families to the school, to where each parent, no matter how cruel, for one moment learns to love. And they give their child to the captain in Lady Emily's Unicorn School. Unicorn means one. They are all one, a single horn tapered in a twist. Each child is given a unicorn wand that Lady Emily fashions from a strange plant she grows in an underground garden in a cave that holds polar bear cubs in hibernation. The captain takes the children to his classroom, which is more of a temple ship. It is made of the finest forest trees from Japan, and there is always warm soup for the children. He wears black and gray and reads to his children before nap time stories of brave and beautiful wolves. Never ever Red Riding Hood. The class is a place to raise wolves. He has orphaned wolf pups that he has rescued and fought for from mean hunters. The children know he will never hurt them. He has a soldier's heart, but a kind soldier like Captain America. He likes his uniform and his pipe. He has a gold chain timepiece because he does not wear silver for his daughter, for she may one day grow to be part werewolf and it would irritate her. His classroom is comfortable and minimal, with books for the children to read, pictures, and sometimes he'll get a projector so they can watch Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke. He knows fishermen in Japan who bring him his classroom exotic meals from the sea, but they are kind fishermen who only take what they need. The children have a rock garden in his classroom and a climbing wall for their fine motor skills. And they know he goes boxing at night at the gym, and his gym bag always has his headphones when even he needs time alone during their naps. And he listens to the music of his wife in the country that he loves, where there are fairy realms still. And his daughter's godmother is Enya. All his children in the classroom are given canvases to paint their dreams and pillow corners for their sleeping, for their resting. And every day he leads them on a trek, like in Star Trek, into the woods that Lady Emily planted long ago when she negotiated a treaty during a long ago war and turned a field destroyed into a forest. The captain takes the children through this forest every day after reading them Winnie the Pooh, the original manuscript, and sometimes brings the author to visit, who arrives from the English countryside, and he and the captain and his students have tea with stuffed animals from the books, filled with joy, filled with manners of respect, and a jovial talk that the children engage in with the captain, who never talks down to them, and he has a knack to speak their language too, very casual, yet underneath a strong, nurturing confidence. The quietest children always end up learning how to speak, and the loudest, brashest ones learn how to listen. As they get older, so too do the wolf pups in their care, for which he and the children feed and play and nurture until the pups become too big to keep inside, and then out into the grounds, and finally to the edge of that forest, where he takes the children when they are ready and old enough, maybe 7 or 8 years old, when they are ready to leave him. And so too the wolves, who are now too wild to be contained. So each time at that end, at that forest, at Unicorn School, the captain with the children learn to let go and set their wild wolves free. The forest takes them in, and the wolves remember and protect, and the captain alone goes out to talk to those that left, and invites his Irish witch wife there too, who is from that forest realm, and his daughter, who is now one who can transform at will. And he is very proud of them, and also a little sad from the divide that only he can cross, for he will never be a wolf. But the wolves trust him. The children see this and see his sadness as a gift, and their sadness too as a gift when they suffer the pain of seeing their wolves go. And then he says goodbye to them, and he and they share in the saying goodbye of their youngest childhoods and innocence, where they learn intimately the truth of life, that death is universal, the cycle. Then Captain Christie says the spell-breaking, soothing, secret names of all the women before his wife, who broke his heart and taught him how to self-heal. And the children that were his students too are set free, and they leave him because they must, just as the wolves. And then Lady Emily invites them into her sanctuary. They are fresh from their epiphanies and already curious about what will happen next. Lady Emily's classroom is very different from what they've known before. There are no wolves, but a plethora of plants. It is a beautiful greenhouse made of glass and unicorn teardrop water. The walls become clear as crystal and can magnify to see the monasteries of Tibet, where the captain's rose flower stands suspended in a case. The walls become translucent to filter the sun, and can focus starlight into a single strand of web that holds soft music of mermaids that whisper kind words to the children whenever they doubt themselves. Lady Emily knows these mermaids well, for she was once one herself before she decided to walk the earth and plant trees and flowers rather than skim curtains of seaweed and sharp coral for the rest of her days. Lady Emily finds heaven in the soil, in the planting and nurturing of wildflowers. All her children she inherits are wildflowers too, and the children are nurtured to adolescence with Lady Emily, as they discover what nurtures them, what they need, their petals and their shapes, their seeds, and their relationships with all of the earth for food and flourishing. Sometimes there are thorns, and rose-petal thorns especially, that require a delicate touch, and Lady Emily is a trained doctor. She has a surgeon's gentle, precise precision, whereas the captain is more of an ambulance medic. She brings that gentle certainty into the greenhouse classroom, where she takes a spoonful of Mary Poppins and sings to her plants, and teaches her students to find their nurturing sound. She likes chocolate cocoa and a touch of coffee for the mornings, where she has an old record player she bargained from a warden from the cell of a man on death row who was innocent. She plays his records during breaks between lessons, old-time tunes from the civil rights era, the Great American Songbook, and some Sinatra and lost folk songs. She teaches them justice as well as botany and encourages blooming. Her students become curious about themselves and each other, and she takes them into the market and the village that past graduates of Unicorn School have made for the global village. Her students build a hybrid plant sanctuary and library, and her greenhouse has a curtain of birds that are house-trained to fertilize the new fields as they fly over them. She studied bombing strategy and command from the old books on loan from the captain's armory in Bombay, where he used to visit often in his younger years from shore leave, and she has trained the birds to fly their soil-enriching flights with a symphony conductor's baton she was given to by the city of Los Angeles, which she preferred instead of a key after she saved its infrastructure from corruption and founded a justice-themed newspaper. She wears sunflower dresses and sharp suits of business when she needs to, and when she teaches, she wears the field research clothes similar to Jane Goodall, rolling up her sleeves to garden, to fix injured birds with a touch, or to corral unicorns. She rides on horseback among wild horses to train, and rides with unicorns of the school to Valhalla, to Greenland and Iceland, and her horse is named Typhoon after a gray mare given to her from native Indian tribes who appreciate her effort to learn and speak their language. She is the fastest draw in California and can outgun Texas Rangers with her six-shooter Colt, and you would never know it if you saw her gardening, how quickly she can shoot. She had to learn in California after the gold rush when a brawler's mob tried to kill an innocent man, and the papers gave her the nickname of Lady Emily. Her real name refers to her sainthood, for in her blood is the mystic lineage of Saint Augustine and Saint Joan, and always learning, she hopes to learn French and will combine the love language with the greenhouse classroom's focus on plants native to France. And when the students are ready to graduate, they are now all teenagers on the verge of adulthood, and they meet at the old forest of their youth, the students, the captain, and Lady Emily. And the youngest ones, the new arrivals, see this in their dreams, the ceremony. There are 3 doors, and from the first door is the night, where the captain emerges, filled with his past storms, his caves, his young man's depression, and his loving grey days in Ireland with his wife and daughter on the moors. He has a comfortable fisherman and lighthouse keeper clothes with oil lanterns and old transistor radios to receive young rock and roll songs. He has a dagger in his boot and still boxes at the gym to stay fit. He reads his playing cards like tarot and can walk into the mist to meet his wolves and sometimes crows when his heart is abloom, he writes, paints, and photographs a world of roses. His wife and daughter count the thorns, and all 3 of them plant them into the earth of their realm to sprout mountains where secrets can be kept, protected, and nurtured in secret wells. He does not wear black anymore when he is older, since he is now always old enough to retire, but never quite does because of the ceremony you're about to hear about. The 3rd door is day, where Lady Emily emerges, filled with hope and the sun rays of Spain, Italy, and California. She has a surfboard and a vintage car that runs on plant fuel. And in California, Lady Emily learned how to get into a little trouble, and now she has coins from a sunken Spanish merchant ship which she flips with biker gangs who owes her a favor. She is worldly and justice-seeking for the poor and the immigrants, and she knows Batgirl, and a magic trick that requires a royal flush that awakens every rose on the planet to shine bright red whenever a politician lies, or if an abusive man raises a hand, the rose shine burns his hand so that he cannot hurt people anymore. The students who are now ready to graduate watch Lady Emily meet the captain, where she asks if his heart is content, and he asks her if she has found another path. Lady Emily says yes, and points to the door in the center, the second door that leads to their students' future. And through that second door is a quilted sky. Then the captain adds a spoonful of his night to paint it black, and Lady Emily puts her sunshine behind it so that it makes stars and constellation paths between the seams. And the students, with their wildflower blooms, throw their shine that meld into the ether to become their moons. This is what happens at the Unicorn School, where in the twisting, twirling point of the unicorn horn, they are one, student and teacher. The end.
And this was just after one conversation about how you would like to work in there, what's kind of the ideal learning environment.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. My brain is always firing.